Okay, in this video, Herbson shows you how to add and subtract rational algebra expressions. It's totally different than multiplying. The 1, 2, 3 won't work. This is not as much work as what we were doing in the multiplication, but it's a little bit more confusing to do it right. First off, I don't like starting a problem out with subtraction. We'll talk about subtraction, but I want to start with addition here. So here's the first thing. I do not go to the 1, 2, 3. That's for multiplication. What you do is you're going to make two large fraction lines. Make them large. Okay, now we start with the same idea, and I want it right there. We start with the same idea as when I was multiplying. I parenthesize where there's minus and plus. Okay. Now I try to factor. So we got 1x second minus 5. So GCF. Dops, because I want to factor before I write the number down on the line. So the GCF's 1, okay? So we don't do it. And then difference of perfect squares. Well, we got the minus, and we got XX, and 1's a perfect square, but 5 isn't, so we can't do it, okay? So this is prime, so I keep parentheses 1x minus 5 right here, the way it is. Okay, now go on top, x plus 3. I don't think that, I think that's prime too, because I think the GCF's just 1. So that's a waste of time. No x, not on everything, you don't have a negative in the front. Okay, now is this a difference of perfect squares? No, it's not even a difference. Okay, so I keep that 1x plus 3 in parentheses right here. Okay, now anytime it's a trinomial with 3 terms, it's going to be able to be factored. Okay, so GCF and T-table. Okay, GCF negative in front, nope. X on everything, nope. 1, 5, and 14 is a 1 GCF. Okay, so A times C, it's going to be negative 14, difference of 5. 1 and 14, nope. 2 and 7, bingo. Now the 5's positive, so that means 7's positive, and we have a negative product, meaning the signs are opposite. I need to get a better marker. So this is negative. Now A is 1x to the second, so that's just 2 parentheses. Then minus 2 plus 7. So rewrite that expression as its factored form, x minus 2 times x plus 7. Then x plus 7, okay, doesn't look like it would have a GCF. You don't have a negative in front, you don't have x on everything, and 1 and 7, the GCF's 1. And then difference of, no, it's not even, it's a plus, so don't do it. So far, okay, now we're done factoring at this point in the problem. Now, here's what you need to do now, and this is the confusing part. You need to come up with, in this square, a lowest common denominator. That says denominator. Don't worry about how it's spelled. It's LCD. Okay, well, the first thing you do, you don't worry about the top, okay? Denominator is all about the bottom. So look at what you have here. We have an x minus 2 in parentheses. And by the way, you want to put multiplication signs between the factors. Not that you're going to multiply them, okay, but you just want them there so you can tell what your factors are. After that, you have an x plus 7 in parentheses. And then a 1x plus 7. Well, I already have x plus 7. I don't need to write that down twice. Okay. Now, how many x minus 2's are under that denominator? There's 1. How many are under x minus 2 parentheses are under that? There's none. Well, we need to make this so each has the higher amount, which is 1. Okay. Well, this one already has its 1. Okay, I don't need to mess around there. this one, we need to have, instead of having 0, it needs to have 1. So times x minus 2. Now, if I'm timesing the bottom, then I have to times the top by the same factor. Okay, you can't forget that. It can't just be the bottom. So now they both have 1 parentheses of x minus 2. Now, how many parentheses of x plus 7 do we have? 1 here and 1 here. Remember, 1x and x mean the same thing. So they already have the same amount, so I'm good to go. I don't need to change that. Now these have the exact same thing in their denominator. So here's what I do. I make a line, and I circle one of the denominators. Doesn't matter which one. We'll go with the second one, and just copy that down. Parentheses 1x plus 7. This is my answer. Okay. Now here's what we need to do about the top. Okay. Now, you're going to use your Math Papa algebra calculator, because if you don't have that, then it's a pain in the butt, okay? Because you got 1x squared minus 5, and over on this fraction, you got 1x plus 3 times x minus 2. You don't need to write this down. I'm just showing you how you would combine it, okay? There's no multiplying there. Here I'd have to draw my rainbows. The blank x squared plus blank x plus blank takes place down here. So 1x times 1x, 1x times negative 2, positive 3 times 1x, positive 3 times negative 2. So it gives me 1x squared, negative 2x, positive 3x, and negative 6. Now when I'm doing my x squared, I have to look here and here. So we got a 1 and a 1. So that'd be 2. For regular x, I don't have any here. I got a negative 2 and a 3, which would add up to 1. Then constants, I have a negative 5 and negative 6. Okay. Now, instead of that crap, we're going to roll this whole expression, everything on top, into the Math Papa algebra calculator. So what you do, you put a parentheses, 1x. To make that to the second power, you hit Shift 6, okay, and then put 2. Then you got to hit the right arrow so it gets out of the exponent. Minus 5, close it. Then after that, I have a plus operator, so Shift, and then that. And then parentheses 1x plus 3, close it, times, you don't even need to hit times really, you can just make another parentheses next to it, x minus 2. Hit enter, and that's your product. There'd be a 1 in front of that middle x though. So 2x to the second, I don't care if you put the 1 in front of it, but you need to put x minus 11. You notice how that's the same thing I got here, and that is how you add expressions. Okay, I'm going to be going over this whole packet here. Okay, I don't like the plus that's on here either. Okay, make it plus. Okay, I'll show you what to do with it minus eventually. I want to do more pluses. So blank plus blank. Really the plus is the same as a minus. You just got to fix something. So parentheses, 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 because they all got pluses and minuses. Okay, what do we got with x plus 3? Well, I don't believe there would be a GCF here. If you know that this is prime, you can just write it down, but I'm showing you. GCF's 1, and there's no way it can be a DOPS with a plus sign. Okay, that's ridiculous. Okay, so we drop that down the same as it was up here, x plus 3. Okay, now look at x minus 5. GCF, negatives not in front, x not on everything, 1 and 5, the GCF's 1. Okay, that allows me to cross that out. Then DOPS. Now you do have the minus, but the x isn't to the second, so it couldn't be that different. So again, that remains the same, parentheses x minus 5. Okay, now the bottom two should be factorable. X second minus 2x minus 8. Okay, so it's 3 terms in the table. Okay, so my greatest common factor, we don't have a negative in front. We don't have x on everything. 1, 2, and 8, so 1. So I multiply 1 by negative 8. It gives me negative 8, so it's a difference of 2. And remember, 2 is negative. Can't be 1 and 8. 2 and 4, you bet. So 2 is negative. 4 is negative. And having a negative product with a difference means the signs are opposite. So plus 2. Now, a is 1x to the second, and that makes it easy to factor, okay? It's just simply x plus 2, x minus 4. Put the times dot, please, between the factors. And then my other trinomial, I should be able to factor that. The 3-term ones you can always factor, okay? And also on the, I don't want to say that, okay? GCF negative in front, no. X on everything, no. 112, and that's 1. So positive 1 times positive 32 is positive 32. So I'd be looking at a sum of 12, 12 being negative like it is. And, nope. Nope, 3 is a decimal, 4 and 8, bingo. 12's negative, so 8's negative. And we have a positive product, so they have to be the same sign. So negative, negative. Now, a is 1x to the second, so that means it's just x times x. And we got x minus 4 and times x minus 8. Okay, now what you need to do at this point is come up with an LCD. Lowest common denominator. Remember, just the bottom. So I have a factor, a parentheses factor of x plus 2. I have another parentheses factor of x minus 4. I have okay, I already got x minus 4, but then I have an x minus 8. Okay, now, not looking at the tops, just the bottoms. How many x plus 2's do I have here on the bottom? 1. How many here on the bottom? 0. We need to make it so they both have 1. So that already has its 1. So I times by the parentheses x plus 2, and then I multiply up here by x plus 2. Okay, x minus 4, I got 1 here, and this fraction has 1, so we're good. If they have the same amount, we don't do anything. X minus 8, I have none here, and 1 here. So I need to get them so they both have 1. So x minus 8 times x minus 8. Now my denominators are the same, so I circle one of them and just copy it down. I want you to circle one of them because I want you writing all of it, okay? Just on one of them. That's why you get them the same, so you can just look on one of them and use that as the denominator in your final answer. Okay, now here I'll be taking this to the Math Papa calculator. We'd have to foil here, and then combine. Okay, it's just a big pain. So parentheses x plus 3, close the parentheses, and then times. You don't have to hit times, you just make another parentheses, and the calculator will pick it up as a times. And then plus, after you're done on the first fraction, you hit plus, and then parentheses x minus 5, close it, parentheses x plus 2. You want to use this so it doesn't become so monotonous. So that's 2x to the second minus 8x minus 34. Okay, boom. Really what this is to set you up for something in the future, but this assignment, I don't really put just plain old plus minus problems on tests. There's a bigger means to the end. Okay, so we know we have addition. So blank plus blank, LCD, blank. Now I'm ready to roll. There's no plus minus, drop it. There's no plus minus, drop it. Just carry it down. There, okay, we got one there and one there. All right, now I need to see if those two expressions are factorable. So x second minus 8x plus 16. That's 3 terms, so GCF and table. GCF's 1. 1 times 16, 16 positive, sum of 8, 8's negative. Okay, 1 and 16, nope. 2 and 8, nope. 3 is a decimal, 4 and 4, bingo, and that's a perfect square trinomial because with the negative here and then the positive up there means they both have to be of the same sign, so both negative. A up there is a 1x squared. So 1x, or x and x, don't put the 1's in front. Then minus 4, minus 4. No GCF to worry about, so it's just parentheses x minus 4 times x minus 4. Okay, then we got x minus 4 solo. Let's see if that factors. I don't think it probably does, given the fact that there's no the GCF's 1, okay? No x, because 4 doesn't contain x, and okay, so GCF's 1, DOPS. Now you do have the minus, but if the x isn't to the second power, you can't do it, okay? A lot of people mistake that. They go 1x plus 2, 1x minus 2. No, x isn't to the second. It doesn't. Okay, so we're just going to drop what was there down. LCD. So we have a parentheses factor of x minus 4, another parentheses factor of x minus 4. So I already have that. And so it's nothing but x minus 4's. So this denominator has 2, and this denominator has 1. We need to get them then so they both have 2. So I would easily do that if I would just times by another x minus 4, and then we also got to do that to the top. Okay. Okay, so circle one of your denominators. Yeah, you can write that actually as x minus. No, just stick with x minus 4, x minus 4. Don't write a quantity squared. Okay, I'm guessing, it's negative 3x minus 48. I can do that in my head. Negative 15x plus 12x, negative 3x, and then that's going to be negative 48. But let's punch it in just to make sure. Negative 15x, you just hit the letter x, plus 12. You don't need it times, you can just open the parentheses. It'll know what you're trying to do. Negative 3x minus 48. Boom. Okay, next problem. Now, we're actually going to go with the minus this time. Here's what you do. You make it plus, and then all of the top numbers on the second fraction need to change signs, so 15 goes negative. Okay. Now, if it'd be, say, like 2x plus 15, then both the 2x and the 15 would change signs, but it's just 15 is the only thing. It's really the only big deal about a minus, okay? So, adding. If you have subtraction, I'm going to convert that to add. Okay. All right, LCD. And then here's for my final answer. Okay, parenthesize, drop negative 15 because it doesn't have a plus or minus, and then right here. Okay, so the expression x plus 4, can it be factored? Well, GCF is 1, and I don't even have a minus, so I can't, it's not a difference of perfect squares, so that will just remain the same. Okay. Now let's go down here, 1x to the second minus 4. Okay, this one will be factorable. We will change the way this is written. The GCF is 1, okay, but this is definitely a difference of perfect squares if there ever was one, because you got a minus, you got x to the second, 1's 1 times 1, 4's 2 times 2. So 1x plus 2 times 1x minus 2 is how that's rewritten, okay? Okay, then I got the 1x minus 2, x minus 2. Okay, so the greatest common factor, That's just a 1, okay? So don't do it. Then difference of perfect squares, well, you got a minus, but the x isn't to the second power, so we don't do that. Okay, now what do we have in parentheses? We got 1x plus 2. It's got to be on bottom. I don't care about the top. A 1x minus 2. That's different from a 1x plus 2 than x minus 2, but that's I already have, that's like 1x minus 2, and I already wrote that. So 1x plus 2, I got 1 and 0. We need to make it so they both have 1. So parentheses 1x plus 2 times parentheses 1x plus 2. Okay, 1x minus 2, I got 1 there, and I have 1 here. So they have the same amount, so we're good on that factor. So now they have a common denominator. So my common denominator is simply 1x minus 2 times 1x plus 2. And then I go parentheses x plus 4. And then addition. Negative 15, negative, you hit. Shoot, the negative, we might have to do something different. No, negative, just hit that key, okay? And then parentheses 1x plus 2. Close it, see what it gets. Okay, well, I did that wrong, okay. So parentheses x plus 4. Okay, plus, and then negative 15. Negative and minus will have the same key. Okay, and then parentheses 1x plus 2. Okay, I got negative 14x minus 26, so that goes in the numerator. It's all simplified for us too. Okay, next one. Okay, so drop the 9, parenthesize that. No, don't parenthesize 2x. There's no plus or minus. Just carry it down. And we parenthesize that. Now look at the two parentheses. I don't think either one of them have a GCF, and I don't think either one of them are adopts. Okay, so at that point, let's just carry them down. Speed this up a little bit. Okay, so LCD, well, I have a parentheses of x minus 3, and I have a parentheses of x plus 1. So x minus 3, I've got 1 and 0. So we need to get them so they have 1. You can't take them away. You can only put them on there. Remember, you got to also times the top by that. X plus 1, I have 0 and 1, because I know I got to have 1 somewhere. So I need to make them so they have 1. So I got to up this to 1. Common denominator has been found. X plus 1 times x minus 3. And then away I go. So I've got 9 parentheses x plus 1. And then plus 2x parentheses x minus 3. The minus and negative are the same button on my keyboard. Okay, 2x squared plus 3x plus 9. Okay, next up. Once again, minus, I like to make it plus, and then that's negative. So extend the fractions because they have to be changed in order to add. Okay, so LCD. Okay, so drop the 3, drop the negative 1. Now that has no GCF. It can't be adopts with a plus sign, so I'm guessing that's a prime expression. Okay, you're wondering, why aren't you going to sketch paper? Because it's not going to do anything. And the same with x plus 6. Okay, so I have the parentheses x plus 4, and then I have the parentheses x plus 6. Now we count up how many x plus 4s. 1, 0. We need to add so they both have 1. So parentheses x plus 4, parentheses x plus 4. X plus 6, we got 0 and 1. So we need to make it so they both have 1. Parentheses x plus 6, parentheses x plus 6. Common denominator has been found. It's x plus 6 times x plus 4. Okay, so I go to my calculator, so I go 3 parentheses x plus 6, close parentheses, plus negative 1 parentheses x plus 4. 2x plus 14. Now, a textbook might want you to factor 2x plus 14. I don't need you to do that. You do a GCF of 2, so it'd be 2 times 1x plus 7. Okay, and if you'd have 1x plus 7 down there, they could cancel. I'm fine with you just finding the product. Okay, 2 more. If I see add, I know the setup is completely different than multiplying. They're not even comparable. Okay, so 12 carries down. This gets parenthesized. 3 carries down. This gets parenthesized. Now look at this. Okay, that trinomials always can be factored on when doing this. X second plus 5x minus 24. So again, we're looking for 2 binomials that would multiply out to that trinomial. So GCF is 1, so don't do it. But I can still do my table. So I go 1 times negative 24, which is negative 24. Difference of 5. 5's positive. 124, no. 212, no. 38, bingo. Now that 5's positive, so we know the 8's positive, and we have a negative product, so they have to be opposite signs. Negative 3, positive 8. Okay, A is just 1, okay? So it's just x times x minus 3 plus 8. Okay, so rewrite that expression, x minus 3 times x plus 8. Okay, now I know that's 2 terms. You can put it on scratch paper. The GCF's 1, so I wouldn't do it. It's not a it's a difference, but the x ain't even to the second power, so really it just stays the same. So what do I have? I have a parentheses of x minus 3 and a parentheses of x plus 8. And then another parentheses, but I already wrote x minus 3 down. Don't write it again. You got 1 here and 1 here, so we're good. Okay, they already have an even amount. Well, not an even amount, the same amount. X plus 8, 1, and then 0. So x plus 8, x plus 8. Okay, lowest common denominator has been found. X minus 3 times x plus 8. Now that allows me again to combine the tops. So we have 12. I can do this in my head, okay? You could punch it in. 12 plus 3 parentheses x plus 8. You're going to have 3x. 12 and then 3 times 8 is 24. It's 3x plus 36. Okay, now the last one's a sneak peek at the next packet. So far you've had only parentheses on bottom. Now it gets a little confusing when you have numbers, not in parentheses. Make that plus, negative. This can be confusing, okay? So parenthesize that. I carry down the negative 12. I carry down the 5x. If there's no plus or minus, I carry them down. Okay, now I have a minus here. I'll carry down that 5, though. That's right there. Now, neither of these are factorable because they don't have GCFs. They have GCFs of 1, both of them. There wouldn't be x. There's not a negative. And you have minus, but neither x is to the power of 2, so really they'll just remain the same in both of them. Okay, now Now we got some crap not in parentheses. This can be confusing, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to put a multiplier dot between 5 and x, and then you're going to put a multiplier dot between 5 and your parentheses. Now, here's how I go with my LCD. The first factor is what I call outer 5. I call it outer 5 because it's not in parentheses. It's just solo. And then outer x. We have another outer 5, but I already have that down. And this is a parentheses, okay? So I need to put x minus 4 parentheses. Outer x is outside the parentheses and x is inside are totally different factors, okay? Now how many outer 5s does this one have? 1. How many does that one have? 1. Then we're good. How many outer x's does this one have? 1. Outer x, I mean it's not in parentheses. That has 1. That has none. The only x is in a parentheses, so that's 0, okay? So that means you need to make it so they both have an outer x, okay? Now what I would suggest doing is you just put that x next to the 5 and then times your negative 12 by x. You can just put it next to it, okay? Now 1x minus 4 in parentheses. Remember, I don't care about the top. I understand the top has one, but the bottom has none. The bottom here has 1, so we need to make it so both bottoms have 1. So parentheses x minus 4, parentheses x minus 4. Now look at your bottoms. They're exactly the same, okay? Circle one of them, and you go 5x times parentheses x minus 4. Okay, then you can calculate that. Can't calculate it, though, until the bottoms are the same. X minus 4, and then parentheses x minus 4, and then plus, when you cross the fraction line, you hit plus negative 12, and you can put times x, times is shift 8, okay, or you can just put the x next to the 12, it doesn't matter. At any rate, we end up with a trinomial x second minus 20x plus 16.